Good morning. This next video in the series Morgan three-wheeler workshop will show you how to deal with a loose rivnut, or even how to fit a new one. If you want to see all the other videos in my series, don't forget to click on the subscribe button just underneath this window, and then you'll be able to come back and get all the information you will ever need on how to work on your Morgan three-wheeler. Thanks. Something that often causes problems is the little rivnut, which is a nut which, rather like a pop rivet, is riveted into blind situations, such as where you want to put a screw into the side of a piece of tube. Most of the bodywork on the Morgan three-wheeler, the floor pan, all sorts of other bits, are fitted using rivnuts. One of the problems with them is that they often come loose, especially if the bolt that goes into them is corroded. If it sticks out too far on the other side and gets covered in muck or gets rusty, when you try and undo it, the rivnut spins in the hole. You can spend a lot of money if you want on a proper tool for fixing them, but I can tell you that this little piece of bent metal with a hole in the end, and a nut, a bolt and a washer, and 2 spanners are all you need. Let's first address the problem of the loose rivnut. If you can get on the back of it with a pair of mole grips or something and get the nut out, well and good. Then we will tighten the rivnut back into place. Your piece of bent metal needs to be just long enough to make a lever that you can get your hand firmly around, and a hole in there which is clearance on the size of the bolt. This one is a 6mm bolt, so this is a 6.5mm hole. We've got a long bolt with a washer and a nut on it. They assemble like that. We then screw that into the loose rivnut. Bring the nut down on top. You've taken all the slack out of it. And then you need 3 hands to do this really, but I'm sure you'll, like me, find an inventive way. Put a spanner on the nut, a spanner on the head of the bolt, sorry, wrong end, and hold the little metal strip. If you then tighten that nut, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to destroy this rivnut. As you tighten that nut down, you will re-expand the loose rivnut. The point you should be looking for is the point at which this bar will no longer turn freely. If that's good and tight and you can't move it, then your rivnut is tight enough. You can then just undo the nut, withdraw the bolt, and your rivnut is tight again. It's a very similar procedure if you want to put in a new rivnut, and that might be because your old rivnut is spinning round and round, it's in a blind tube, you can't get hold of the thing to get the bolt out of it. You may have to drill out the bolt that's in there. Use a drill which is slightly bigger than the head. In the case of this 6mm one, I would use a 7mm drill and drill into the middle of the head, and at the point where the drill starts to break through the other side, the head will come off. When you've got that far, then get a drill which is the size of the hole that the rivnut goes into. The simple thing to do is, if you've got a new one to replace it, then measure that serrated part of the rivnut, and the hole you need to drill is that size. Drill right the way through and the rivnut will just burst off the other side. Unfortunately, it will stay in the piece of tube if you can't got nowhere to get it out, but that's something we have to live with. And when you want to fit a new one, same procedure. Bolt, nut, washer, piece of bar, and what the piece of bar does, of course, is prevents the rivnut from turning whilst you do this nut up. Push that into the hole that you've drilled, get a spanner on the bolt so you can hold both the bar and that top of that bolt still. Use another spanner, tighten that up. You'll need quite a few turns on there to belly this rivnut out on the inside of the tube, and when, as before, you get to that situation where this handle will no longer turn, then the rivnut is tight enough take out your bolt. Keep your lovely little tool somewhere safe, because I can guarantee you there are so many rivnuts on these vehicles, you're going to need it again. Good luck rivnutting. Thanks for watching. Bye.